Hey everybody, good afternoon, good afternoon. It is me, I'm here. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The stock market just closed. It's the 26th of November 2024. The crypto market has been going absolutely nuts over the last, almost the last month since the election. And what I want to do is I want to take a look at the crypto market in general. I want to take a look at things from a perspective of altcoins. I want to take a look at alt season. But of course, as you all know, this is this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. You're responsible for your own trades, managing your own risk, doing your own research, and as always, this is just my opinion on the markets. I'm actually in the process at the moment of getting my my screen share back. Let's see here, back in place here. So give me just a moment. I should have done this beforehand, so I'm just going to kind of take a look here and see if this is good to go. Yes, we are good to go. All right, so I'm looking here. I'm starting with Ethereum. With Ethereum, I'm looking at this both from a wave master perspective. I'm looking at it from a trend perspective. What does the crypto market in general look like? All of my charts are going to be on log scale, and that's what I'm going to be focusing on. I've got a couple things on here, and I'm really just kind of setting the stage right now. I have exponential moving averages, so I've got the 21, I've got the 55, I've got the 100 and the 200 on here. These are all going to be really important moving averages. I'm looking at a daily time frame as well. So I'm just kind of setting the stage here, kind of getting us to where we need to be. And I mentioned already, and again, I'm just looking here at Ethereum, but after the election, obviously things have kind of gone a little crazy. And so now where is the market kind of heading from here? That's what I want to really focus on. So Ethereum, for example, we've got a scenario here. If I take a look and I put a little trend line from here on the top and work my way down, we haven't broken out like Bitcoin did, right? If you take a look at Bitcoin, we did break out of that trend line. So if I take a look at Bitcoin on the daily, right, a very similar trend line that we've got here would be this guy right here, right? So we broke out, we retested it, and then we kind of exploded to the upside. And this happened after the election. Like the election had already taken place and we had already broken out. But if you take a look at Ethereum, that has not happened yet, right? So Ethereum, if it were Bitcoin, Ethereum would be up here at between $5,000 and $6,000. Now I do think that Ethereum has potential to get up there, but really Ethereum's got to get up above this like $3,700 area in order for that to really come into play. We got to get above this trend line, and once we get above there, then I think we can start to see a move to the upside. But for the time being, as long as we're below this, I would just be cautious. Taking a look at all of the different waves that we've got on here, we've got the daily on the green, the yellow, and the red. These are all kind of pointing upwards, which is good. If I take a look on the weekly, you're going to see something very, very similar. But the difference here is on the weekly, the yellow really just crossed up, right? The green, of course, crossed up when we were all the way down here, this 2400 area. But these look very healthy, at least for the time being. I wouldn't pay too much attention to the white wave just yet at this time. I'd pay more attention to the green wave, which has already crossed up, the yellow wave, which it has crossed up, and the red wave is getting close to crossing up. These are important things to pay attention to as we look to see what happens next. So I'm just kind of pointing that out. Okay, so that's Ethereum. I want to spend a whole lot of time on that because I know you're all really interested on other alts. So I'm going to take a look. I'm going to go back to a daily, and I'm going to go back to some altcoins that have been doing very, very well. Some of them you are all very interested and have been asking about. So I'm going to take a look at Solana versus Tether. So Solana has made a high, right? It's made a high right there. It barely poked it, but it did. So from this perspective, one thing that I want to point out, and I'm going to go ahead and start putting a little bit of Elliott wave on here, right? So from these lows, I can count a nice wave 1 and an ABC into a wave 2. And then I've got another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into a 3, and then an ABC into a 4. And then I see a 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think we've still got a wave 5 to go. Now that's on a higher degree, so let's go ahead and put this degree on here. A nice little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is going to be on a lower degree. So let's just go ahead and lower that. And so that makes a whole lot of sense. So let's also take a look at the corrections here. We've got a nice little ABC correction down here into this wave 2. And then what else do we have here? From up here, we've got a nice little A, B, C correction. It's kind of sharper if you're more of an expanded flat guy. Very subjective. That's one thing about Elliott wave, is very subjective. It's all, kind of leaves it up to interpretation. But one way or another, you could even pull this over here, it would still be somewhat valid. This does look like a completed correction, which means what we're looking at now is a 1 and then a 2, and then we've got a 3 working on that 4, and then we go up for that wave 5. Now, if I zoom in just a little bit here, what I'm really talking about is Solana going all the way up here to this $400 area. Now, I would be very cautious if and when Solana does get up to that area. But if I were to measure this, how far back are we going to pull? I'm going to take my fib pull there. I'm going to use my EWT template. I've got the 382 down here at 195, right? So right now, currently we're at 229. Let me put this 236 on here, and just to see, we're likely going to find some support, obviously, here at 219, 220. That area is probably going to be the support that we're going to find. So what that means then is we're probably going to bounce from here, maybe do something like this before we see that movement to the upside. But for right now, this doesn't look bad, right? So I've got a nice 1, ABC into a 2. You can count a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into a 1, 2, and then we've got, lots of waves inside of here where we could throw some subdivision. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself on that, but I can absolutely see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave structure here. We go down into a wave 2, and then we start to see, the potential for some nested waves. So it's possible that this is actually much further up here. But for right now, this looks like we're likely going to consolidate here, and before Solana does move up to that upside target. Now, is that upside target valid? Where is that likely going to land? Well, let's just go ahead and measure this a couple different ways. I'm doing this for an educational purpose, so just kind of pay attention as I'm going through this, because I'm going to do this with a few different things. So if I'm going kind of quickly, I apologize ahead of time, but I want to look at more than just 1 or 2 different things. But I want to make sure that you're learning something along the way. So hopefully you are getting a little bit out of this. So I'm going to use my trend-based fib extension tool. I'm going to measure from this dominant pivot low here to this dominant pivot high right there. And I'm going to get my pullback. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set this up. Again, I'm going to put it on log scale. And what I'm going to be interested in is the 1618. I'm going to focus on the 2618, the 3618, and I'm also going to put the 4618 on there, which I do not do very often. But this 2618 that we see right here would be a logical target for a wave 3. That's going to be at about $315. So right now, my wave 3, I currently have terminated here at about 207. So it didn't quite get there, but chances are pretty good if it does break up and out of here, it's going to go to that next target, and we'd actually be talking about Solana potentially at about $1,000. Now, that's certainly possible, and if we do have the subdivision that we were talking about here, we could very, very well have an extended 5th wave that would take us up to that area. Now, conservatively speaking, right, if we're speaking conservatively here, what I would be looking for is a move to this, this $400 area that I was talking about. Another thing that we can do is what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure this from the bottom of wave 1 to the top of wave 3, and I'm going to project it from the bottom of wave 4. And what I'm going to be looking for here is the 618. That 618 is sitting there at about 835. So if I've been holding Solana for a long period of time, if I was able to get in back here when it was below $20, or even if I got in back here where it was in the 100s, right? If we were like, 130, 140 in this area of consolidation, if I got in here, what I would be looking for is a break above this level right here. Once we get above that level, that 314, the first level I'd be taking a look at to at least take some off the table, it's going to be here at that $400 level. Then I'd be taking a look up here as a next target at about 840, and then I'd be looking to just, get all out there on the other side of 1,000. Now, if it breaks down below that 314 level, then I would say that the bull case is starting to diminish a little bit, and I would be actually looking to get out of that position and just wait and see what happens. Because as we know, in the crypto universe, pullbacks are absolutely going to happen. We've seen that over the last couple of days here, and everybody's freaking out about it. I don't think there's any reason to freak out at this time, because the structure still looks good for continued upside. We just have a little bit of a pullback here, and it's wiping out a lot of over-leveraged traders. So if you use high leverage, you probably just got wiped out because you're probably long. Because again, we've got some renewed interest in the market, which is great. We've needed that for some time, but we have to pay attention here to what the market structure looks like, and it doesn't look bad at this time. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move on. So, we've talked about Solana. I'm going to go ahead and move right down the list here. The next one I want to pay attention to is Ripple. So I've been watching Ripple for quite some time, and what I want to point out here is the fact that this is actually not a really great. It's not a terrible chart. It's not a terrible chart, but we called this high back here at about 93 cents. Well before July of 2023. And we called this based upon this pivot right here. So let me zoom in just a little bit. We can talk about this. So we were talking about this high here from 2022, and likely that was going to continue to be resistance moving forward. And that's exactly what happened. We basically said, here at 92, 93 cents, that's going to be the high that we would ever see Ripple get in 2023. And that's exactly what happened, right? So we got to that level in 2023, and that's where it stopped. But as we all know, as levels get tested, they will get broken, right? So we tested that level again here on November 14th, but what happened the next day? It broke through it. And now that we've broken through it, and as long as we can stay above some of these major moving averages, the 21 especially, on the daily, if we can stay above that, I don't see any reason to be super bearish. What I'm also seeing is right here at this level, which is at about $1.27, right? We had resistance here, and now it's been counted as support twice. Now, I'm saying 127, but it's not like a hard and fast, it's not a hard and fast price. It's really a range, but I'm just choosing 127 based upon the high that we've got here and some of the lows that we got from these wicks here. And if I zoom out, well, what do you know? We had resistance here back in 2021. We had resistance here in late 2021. And if I zoom back even a little bit more, I can see that we had some support here in early 2021. So that level is important, and I think it's going to continue to be important moving forward. So if we can stay above that price, then I would say chances are pretty good we're going to go back to this high up here at about 195 or so. Now we're only at 139 right now. What's the upside on that? We're talking about like a 40% move to the upside, but we have to consider the downside risk. If we break down below this level here at 127, chances are pretty good we're coming back down to $1, right? So what's your downside risk if we go back down to $1 or so? That's like a 29% pullback. Is it worth it to stay in Ripple right now, or is it worth it to just wait? That's a decision that you're going to have to make. If we take a look at the Wave Master, right? Take a look at the Wave Master. The daily is just kind of hanging out up here, but keep in mind it can stay up here for quite some time. Wait and see what happens with our red wave and the yellow wave, and you can see the white wave is still moving upward, so that's going to also help Ripple as well. So it doesn't look terrible up here at about $1.40. It does look like there is going to be some continued upside. But now, like, how far is it going to go? That's always the question that I get. How far is it going to go? Well, what I'm going to go ahead and do here is I'm going to go ahead and measure this. I'm going to do two different measurements. First off, I'm going to measure from this dominant pivot low here to that high and see where did we pull back to. Well, what do you know? We pulled right back to this 618. So now that we pulled back to the 618 and we recognize that we've pulled back to that 618 here at 31 cents, let's go ahead and throw a pitchfork on here. So we're going to throw a pitchfork, which I don't use this very often, right? So I had a lot of questions about this, which was creating a lot of confusion on the Discord. Which, by the way, if you're not on the Discord, you can find all that information on how to access on BitDoctor.org. But the pitchfork is something, it's a tool to use. And now that we've seen the price action, this pitchfork is not the right kind of pitchfork to be paying attention to. I'm going to change the type of pitchfork to see if anything matches. This matches a lot better. Look at the support that it continued to hold throughout this entire price action. So, we're getting close to the median, right? So that median is going to be an area also where I would be very cautious moving forward, which also happens to be, if we go to basically Christmas, December 23rd, it's right there at 196. So right there at that level where we've got this high here from 2021. If we can break above that, the target is $4, right? If you pull back to the 618, the target is going to be that negative 236 extension. You're going to hit that very, very frequently. I don't have, a statistic to give you on how many times it's going to hit that, but you've got a high degree of probability you're going to get to that negative 236. We've already broken through several important resistance levels. So for us to continue moving up and out of here would make a whole lot of sense. I'm going to measure this in one other way just to see if there's any more confluence at that $4 level. So I'm going to use my trend-based fib extension tool, dominant pivot low right there, dominant pivot high right there, and then we're going to get our pullback, which is, again, right. Let me just go ahead and pull this back right there. Okay, so we've got the 100 up there at 556. Is Ripple going to get to $5.56? I mean, it is certainly possible, but the bigger question is how probable is that for it to go up that high? That would be a significant move for Ripple to be able to do that. And just think about the market cap that Ripple would be at if it were to go that high. I would say your first level that you really need to be paying attention to is going to be right here, which is also going to coincide with that median, which is again going to be at about 197, 198. After that, continue to watch these levels here, because this level is also going to be something that's going to be something to contend with. This is going to be just basically your 50% between the median and your upper rail of this pitchfork. And, at that $4 level is also something that you would need to be, paying very close attention to. After $4, you're really being greedy if you're still holding Ripple at that point. I would say that $4 is possible for Ripple to get to. And if it gets there and you continue to hold and you want to wait for this, for this 550 level, you really just got to make sure that you're shaving some profit off and you are, kind of reducing your exposure, because what I see a lot of people do is, they'll buy and they'll see, 1,000% profit and they're not going to sell. It's going to be very similar to what happened with Shiba Inu. Back in the day when Shiba Inu went nuts, I was telling everybody to get out up here because we were up 1,000% on Shiba Inu, right? So when we were up here, at 8,000, 8,400, I was like, you need to just get out. And what ended up happening is it went down 93%. Now, obviously, it has done relatively well since then, but if you wouldn't have gotten out here, you probably would have sold somewhere down here, either at break even or at a loss, depending on where you bought it. Now, this was something where, I was buying when we were all the way down here. So, we made really, really good money on this. And this was all the way back in 2021. So this is, it's hindsight's 2020, but, we had a really great trade there. I'm simply saying that you need to make sure that you are taking some profit off the table before you end up like losing everything. So we've taken some profit on some of our positions that we're in, and I would really suggest that you do that as well. Lifeversity, I will take a look at IWM at the very end. It's been doing very, very well. It's been kind of leading over the last couple days here, so I will certainly take a look at that here before I end things. Okay, so another thing I want to take a look at is Doge. So, this little guy right here is just like the little engine that could. What I want to really look at is the fact that from this low down here, we can count, a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can count a 5-wave structure up. Now, this is really super interesting because I did not expect Doge to rebound the way that it did. And I also didn't expect it to hold up as well as it did when it got down here to this 5-cent level. Coincidentally, at this 5-cent level back here, this is when just a regular retail friend of mine said, hey, my friends are buying Doge and they're making all of this money. I want to buy it too. And I was like, that's great. You just got to be really careful. The same guy bought Shiba Inu at the very top, right when I was telling everybody to sell, didn't listen to me, and that's okay. But Doge has held up very, very well. Now, I don't think for a second that Doge is going to go absolutely insane, but what I will say is we do have, we do have some crazy targets that it likely won't go to, but if it does, $31, I really doubt it's going to get that high. I would say this 618 right here at about 270 is likely going to be like the cap for Doge. I don't think it can go much higher than that. I'd be paying attention to that. The next thing I want to take a look at here is I'm going to do my fib pull on here. And what do we have? We've got to pull back to the 382. And then so that negative 236 is about 340. So a more conservative target for Doge is going to be somewhere in this neighborhood of 273 to 343. This is the area that I would be watching for Doge. Would I buy it right now? No. Would I be taking profit right now? Probably. But certainly what I would be doing is I'd be waiting for a pullback, maybe down here to this, this maybe 26-cent area. And if we can get some support there, then I could say that we could probably make a really decent move to the upside. So what would that actually look like if you were able to get, a 26, 27 cent purchase? That would be, 1,000% if it did get up to that $3 area, which again, from a market cap perspective, that's crazy to consider. But that target is going to be sitting there and it's going to be waiting until it gets there. For Doge, we found great support here at this 382, and that negative 236 is going to be your target. And we're sitting here at 38 cents right now. And, for us to get a little bit of a pullback, that doesn't look terrible, right? I would say that your upside potential in Doge is pretty high. But now where would you manage your risk? That's the question. I would say that if it breaks down below this high right here, if it breaks down below that high, and that's at about 22.5 to 23 cents, if it breaks down below that, I would say the bullish confidence would be diminished. So I would say the probability of it going all the way up to $3 kind of diminishes if we break down below that. We really don't want to see a pullback in alts that's going to go, all the way down 50%. We don't want to see that right now, which also means that you may not get that pullback that you're looking for, or that I'm looking for, to come all the way back here to 25, 27 cents. That may not happen. But what I'm looking at is basically the fact that we could have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into a 1, and then an ABC into a 2, and then we working on 3, and then 4. And the reason why I say it shouldn't cross this is because wave 4 shouldn't cross wave 1. And so if this is going to be going into a wave 4, we should not penetrate that 22, 23 cent area, because if that happens, then the chances of this being chances of it being an impulse are lower. So wave 3 potentially terminate there at all-time high. We do a little bit of a consolidation, and then we can see a move up to that area. So this could be what Doge is doing. There is good upside in Doge. I'm not personally invested in it a whole lot because I just don't really care for it, but the chart is suggesting that we could be seeing more upside, but we maybe need to see a little bit of a pullback first. All right, I'm going to take a look at Cardano. All right, so Cardano has been a beast, and very similar to Doge, right? Cardano has found really decent support there at the 50. Okay, so we've got Cardano down here at the 50. It's found great support. It's moved up. It's moved up here past this 236. And from here, we look like we see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So let me just go ahead and mark this in here. So we've got a little 1, and then a 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the 3, into a 4, and then we've got a 5. So we've got 5 waves up, and then we've got a really, really deep correction, right? So we had a really deep correction, which means, we might not be going as high as people would expect. I do have a $10 target on Cardano, which is crazy to consider. I'm going to do all the same things that I did here. You're going to start to see a theme here, and hopefully the repetitiveness of what I'm doing is going to hopefully try and kind of put some of this into your memory as well. So this 618 here at about 537, this negative 236 here at about 1051. Those are the areas that I'd be looking at. Do I think it's going to go higher than that? Do I think it's going to come all the way up here to the 100, which is going to be at $38? I mean, that target is there, but I'm not going to be waiting for that. I don't think it's likely going to go there. But what I can say is from this low right here, we've got our wave 1, 2, and then we've got a 1, 2, and this is definitely wave 3 material. This is what you are looking for when you're looking for a wave 3. What it reminds me of is what we saw here, right? A big impulse to the upside, a big impulse to the upside, wave 4, and then a little wave 5, right? We had a long strung out correction and then a nice 5-wave structure up. We've got this pullback, and then we've got this 1, 2, it looks like a 3. We're going to be looking for the 4 and the 5, right? And so that's going to likely be our larger wave 3. You know, they're looking at a 1 and a 2 and then 3, 4, 5, right? On a higher degree. So let's mark the higher degree. This is what we would be looking for. And this would take us, you know, up to the area that I'd be looking for, which is, you know, again, maybe we see a wave 3 terminate here. We see a little bit of a pullback there to the all-time high at 310. And then we see that final move up there to about $10. Now, again, none of this is certain. None of this is guaranteed. This is all based on just probabilities. What does the chart look like? And that's where I'm getting all of this from. So I'm gonna keep looking at a couple more. I've got a little time here, so you know I've been going through a few things for about 26 minutes now. So I'm gonna go ahead and go through a couple more, and we're just gonna kind of take a look at some of these that these have been doing really well. All right, let's take a look at Tron. Nobody talks about Tron anymore, and I don't know why, because Tron just made a new high just a couple days ago up here at about 22, almost 23 cents. It has been a very, very interesting specimen because it has just been kind of marching upward ever since the end of 2022. At the end of 2022, it was 4 cents, and it's gone up, 300% at the highs there, 371. It's just been slowly moving upward. And I don't see any reason that it's going to stop. And I actually think that this pullback that we're getting right now to retest this high from April of 2021 is likely just to set us up for, a continued move to the upside. So again, same thing. This low, that high, where did we pull back to? We pulled back to the 382. Remember, some of the others pull back to the 618, pull back to the 50. This 382 is where we have found lots of support. Again, very similar to Doge. Support at 5 cents, 6 cents, 5 cents, yes. So target there is going to be this 38-cent level, which is basically about 2x from where we're at now, roughly. Actually, almost exactly 100% from where we're at right now. But I don't think that's going to be the end. I think Tron has potential. As much as people don't like it or whatever. Tron has potential to go higher, yes. So 38 cents is a target. But this level right here at about $1.18, this is where I'm going to be, getting all out of all the Tron that I hold. And I've been holding Tron for quite some time. But watch here at this level here at 38, 39, 40 cents, right? That area, 39 cents. And then after 39 cents, I'd be looking to get rid of everything at that $1.18 level. So that's what I'm looking at for Tron. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on there. What you can tell is that we've got, a nice structure on all these moving averages. Everything's crossed up. Everything is, continued to be in a very bullish stance. So that looks pretty good. Again, we could see some consolidation, but I do believe that we are likely going to see some continuation to the upside because this looks like just a giant cup that's just ready to go ahead and just kind of push up and out. So maybe we get a little handle. We'll wait and see what happens. Let's see, what else do I want to look at here? I do want to take a look at SUI, and that'll probably be the last one that I do before I continue to take a look at IWM. All right, so for this guy, what I'm looking at is the fact that we've got from this low a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, working on 5. Okay, so let's just get into a little bit of subdivision here. But what I want to do is I want to ignore that first candle, and I want to measure from this low to this high. We get this pullback here. We're looking for a move to likely this 1618, which is going to be about $8.50. Now, are we going to move up there in this move? That's to be seen. That remains to be seen. The other thing I want to look at, I want to kind of go out of the daily time frame. I want to take a look at a 4-hour here. So in the 4-hour, things still look pretty darn healthy, if you ask me. But taking a look at this, from this low here, right, so let's take a look. We've got a 1, 2, and then we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into a 3. This is wave 4. Then we go up for that wave 5 on a lower degree, right? So we're basically creating that structure where this wave 5 is likely going to, move up to, $5, $6, $7. And, again, if we do see that extended move that I was talking about, we can certainly see this happen on something like SUI. It's a great project, which generally speaking, I don't care about, but I'll just go ahead and mention it. But it's, it looks very bullish, and it has held up very well in this pullback, which has basically lasted, how many days has this been? It's been 9 days that we've been kind of pulling back on this particular asset. So it looks okay. It doesn't look bad to me. I do think that it is going to continue to see some upside. Is it going to go all the way up to $8, which is 140% from where we're at right now? That remains to be seen. My targets for SUI, let me go ahead and just pull that up here. Here we go. My targets for that is 325, which obviously we already hit. My next target is going to be the $8.50 level, which is right here based on what I already mentioned. That's my next level I'm waiting for. And after that, I've got a $13 sort of, we'll call it like a pie in the sky. That's like your high climax buying frenzy that we might see. So I'm reserving some for that $13 level, but I've already taken profit at 325, and I'm waiting for the 845 level to hit, which really is 850. But I like to pull back my my targets just a little bit so I don't get front run. So 845 is what I'm looking at. And then that next final level is going to be $13, which may or may not hit at all. So that's what I've got on crypto in general. If we take a look at Bitcoin dominance, right? So we're still sitting down here pretty low on dominance. So let me go ahead and just kind of hide our moving averages and go to a weekly time frame here. So if we take a look at the weekly, dominance is still continuing to drop. But what we need to see, and I mentioned this in a TradingView update video, we need to see a break of this structure. This has to break. And once this breaks, then we can start to see a move back down here to this level at 48%. Break down below that 48%, then I do believe that it is very, very possible we're going to come back down to this 40% level. And it is possible that we do go lower than that. So just be prepared for all things. If we take this and we just kind of duplicate it, clone it, and move it to the upside, we do have the potential that once it gets down here to this lower rail, we could see a move up here into the 60s again, maybe the mid 60s, maybe even the upper 60s. We're just going to have to wait and see. Really depends on what Bitcoin wants to do. Is Bitcoin going to go well past 100,000? Now, if it does, dominance could increase some more. But if Bitcoin doesn't want to go, really far into the 100s and maybe stops at like 105, 110, then I think that this, breaking this lower is still what we're going to be looking for, and that would be what would, cause a pretty significant increase in altcoins, because again, we break down below this and we have the potential for something like that to happen. How long is it going to take? I mean, it could be very, very quickly. It could happen very, very quickly. It may take some time. What we have seen, and you can see it right here, this took, from where this broke down here on March of 2021, and it went to May of 2021. So that was basically, a month and a half, 2 months. If we go all the way back to 2017, here's December of 2017. How long did that take, right? We have December 11th of 2017, and the low was on January 8th of 2018. So that was 1 month. So you can see a drop in that dominance, a 46% drop, 31 points, right? 31% of dominance that Bitcoin lost in just a few weeks. So it can happen very, very quickly, but you've got to be in the right place at the right time and well positioned in order to take advantage of that. Because if we do see something like this or like this, you need to make sure that you are prepared for it. And the potential is there for that to happen. And it is going to happen very, very quickly. And certainly once that does happen, and we do start to see dominance come all the way down here into the 40s, you had better be ready to cash out. Because once Bitcoin dominance comes all the way back down to 40 or below, if it comes even all the way back down here to 35, which is what happened in 2017, 2018, if that happens, you need to get out, because Bitcoin, the crypto atmosphere in general, the money is going to stay in those larger assets, which is going to be like Solana or Bitcoin or Ethereum. So you want to just kind of make sure that you are reallocating yourself, rebalancing, because if this happens and you are positioned well, you're going to have a lot of insane money that you had just made. Do not lose it. Do not go crazy on leverage, and be very, very careful. That's what I will say on all things considered with trading crypto. These are the things that you want to watch and pay attention to. That's what I've got on there. So I promised Liversity I would take a look at IWM. So let's just go ahead and take a look at that. IWM has been doing really, really well. I want to say that it hit an all-time high yesterday. Yesterday, it hit an all-time high, which was at that was at 244.98. Didn't quite get to that 245 level, but again, going back to the weekly, let's do something very similar that we just did with crypto, for example, right? So take a look at that. We came here to the 382. I'm actually going to take this off of log scale, and I'm going to put it on our regular scale. So let's just go ahead and move to regular scale. Yeah, we're still, seeing that support there at the 50. Upside would be that 280 level, right? Which is, pretty conservative. I would say that's not super crazy. But, if we take a look at things and we zoom out quite a ways, we go all the way back to basically the dot-com bubble bust, right? From these lows here, to where we're at right now, just take a look at the difference in what the chart looks like. When we saw this pullback and we saw the rebound, it really pales in comparison to this pullback and that rebound, right? If this were 2020, we would have pulled back and we would have come all the way back up here. That's not what happened, right? So I guess what I'm trying to say is IWM and Russell 2000 in general, we had a lot of consolidation here in late 2021, mid to late 2021. We had a fake out to the upside and a significant drop. And IWM, it hurt more than some other indexes did. But it still doesn't look terrible up here. I would just say that the market structure looks a lot more chaotic up here than it did back here where things were kind of normal. After, of course, we had the financial crisis, the mortgage crisis and all of that in 07, 08. But we had a nice rebound to come out of there. After COVID, it was just kind of like knee-jerk reaction and a lot of, kind of reacting over interest rates and whatnot. But I would say for IWM, I don't see anything here to suggest that we have like a major market correction that's going to be hitting. And I would say that, due to the reaction from the election results, regardless of who you voted for, the market has reacted very positively towards that news. So up until something happens, meaning, when we have a transition of power, right, nothing is really changing from like a policy standpoint. Certainly, negotiations are already happening, conversations are already happening, and that alone is moving the markets a little bit. But Between now and January, I think it's probably going to be a continued move to the upside, and I don't think it's going to be a difficult move to the upside. Something that I will point out also here is like Warren Buffett, for example, has a large cash stockpile, probably the largest he's had, waiting to buy. And that means that he's not trading that, he's not trading that cash. And if he's doing that, others are doing that, which means there's not a lot of selling pressure, which makes it easier to move the asset prices to the upside. And so that's what I'll say about that. I think that IWM still looks okay. We may see a little bit of consolidation again for the next week or two, very similar to, what we might be seeing in crypto for the next week or two. But I do think that as long as we can stay above, we'll say this level here at about 230 to 235. If we can stay above that level, I would say that the chances are pretty good that we are going to hit that 280 area. And that's probably where we would be looking for a more significant pullback. So that's what I've got on IWM and all of the different cryptos that are out there. If this video helped you in any way, shape, or form, you know the deal. Like, subscribe, share. If you need access to our indicators, if you need access to our Discord server, trading room, all of my trades, equity, options, all of that. If you need access to any of that, you can find all of that information on BitDoctor.org. And last but not least, wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a good day, a good night, and a great evening. Take care, everyone.